until this moment for time. This is the night we ride. I am the I'll find my destination. Don't tell me where to go. I won't give it this time. Not this time. Find your joy. Go mountains and wastelands beyond the sea lies Take hold of your steel chariot. The world is godless. Rise to the challenge of both worlds. We'll find our destination. Can't tell us where to go. We won't give it this time. Not this time. Find your joy. Go mountains and wastelands beyond the sea lies We'll find our destination. Let's go. Come on, find your joy. Go mountains and wastelands beyond the sea lies
That was Tonight We Ride by Unleash the Archers on the album Time Stands Still. I'm Kaila,
And I'm Gaia.
and welcome to the public debate here on CHSR FM.
97.9 FM.
97.9 FM. Welcome. How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm all right. I lost my voice a couple days ago, so for all you listening out there, if you hear me coughing, that's probably why. I'm not dying, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the debate that we are having is about whether or not religion has a place in the modern world, which is going to get a little spicy because we're talking about any religious matter. But we've decided to do it anyways, I guess.
So we should start off by setting some ground rules. Am I too loud, by the way?
You sound all right.
All right. So we definitely should start off by setting a few ground rules. Specifically, we're not going to be referring to any specific religion except in examples for why religion is good or bad. So we can't say this religion is bad. We can't say this religious belief system is bad. But we can say, here's an example of a religion being bad, or here's an example of a religion being good, here's an example of a religion helping or hurting people, etc. But we're not going to go past examples just because we're not going to target any one religion in this. We're going to keep a very general topic on...
We're talking about religion as a whole. Is it okay?
Spirituality.
Does spirituality have a place in the modern world? Should we believe in something larger than ourselves?
Does belief in a higher power help us as a human race?
And on that question, I will be taking the side of yes. Yes, it does. And yes, we should always have spirituality.
And of course, I'll be taking the side of no, that spirituality does not have a place in the modern world.
Because I've been giving you not always the best sides thus far.
No, but I'm actually taking my actual belief on this one.
Okay.
That this is my actual belief. To a degree.
This is also mine to a degree. So
yeah, because
we'll
my personal belief, I was part of organized religion in the past and felt pretty personally attacked by it. So
now you're sounding a little bit loud.
Am I a bit loud?
Just a tiny touch. Maybe it's
All right.
my headphones.
Actually, I am a little loud.
Okay.
Professionalism.
This is going very well.
Oh, I turned myself back up by mistake. Oh, I'm so bad with volumes. It's very, very finicky.
Well, we'll get there eventually. You're doing okay.
I'm good now?
You're a little quiet, but...
Okay. Let me fix it up. There we go.
Alrighty. This is going well. So,
any background behind this debate on your side?
Not that I'm aware of right now. I'm just kind of gonna go into it with whatever I have in my head right now and just kind of see where it takes us.
Yeah, for myself, as mentioned, I come from a religious background. I have a good set of friends who range across the spectrum from being very religious to anti-religious. And it's kind of been a debate I've had against both sides, where I've definitely had to defend religion in some cases and go against religion in other cases, because I don't hold a belief on the extremes. I'm actually more on the middle ground of it has a limited place, in my opinion. I'll probably more be arguing that for today's debate than anything else, but I'll be favoring the no, it does not for this debate.
Duly noted.
So yeah, this debate for me, yeah, that's what I meant to say. This debate for me is based off of old debates I've had, old arguments I've had, and kind of thinking back to those arguments, especially in a debate setting, because I've had these in more formal debates, it did inspire me to want to have this as today's topic.
Okay.
So, since you are pro once again, do you want to take the beginning stance?
Sure, I will. So, spirituality in the modern world.
Right.
First of all, we all know that religion has kind of taken more of a back burner in modern times. It's not like Christianity has ruled the world as it has done previously.
Literally in some cases.
Exactly. And that's not to say religion is bad. I'm just saying that, like, as times have progressed and as science has become more prevalent, either way to pronounce that word, it's because science has become that. And as such, religion and spirituality has often taken a back burner. That being said, that doesn't mean it should be forgotten completely. Religion humanizes us. It gives us something to believe in, even when often all belief seems a bit lost in any situation. So if you have any medical crisis, if you've gone through something horrible, people generally fall back to faith, to spirituality, because it gives you something to believe in, something to hope for, something to work on, to do, something to have and to hold in you.
Right.
And that's never something that will be bad. even as times move forward and we inevitably become more science-based as a society and most likely less religious, all things considered.
I like how we're not even debating, will religion have a place, just does it now? Because we know in the future it probably won't.
Well,
Not as much of one, at least.
probably not. I mean, science has become so big and so broad. And I mean, like, some sciences and religions complement each other.
Yeah.
I know Islam is one.
Yeah, Islam has a rule in it that all scientific discoveries that can be proven, which it doesn't say proven in the Quran, but that's kind of the rule now, are to be taken as religious fact as well. That is something that humans missed from Allah in the past, and now they've discovered, so now it is considered part of the religion.
Yeah. So science and religion aren't necessarily
Enemies.
They can be complementary.
Yeah.
It's just often looked upon as not so.
Yeah, especially with modern day political
especially
situations.
modern day political situations often make things seem like a very black and white situation, and it very rarely is. There's often this very large gray area that most people fall into.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, yeah, it's not.
My family's gonna like this debate now. We've already acknowledged the gray areas.
So there's this belief that it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not true. Yes, science will most likely become the most dominant thing to believe in future generations because that's the way our society seems to be going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not to say that religion won't help.
Right.
Even in cases like, this is gonna be a kind of out of the blue example, but if you have like a robot, like an artificial intelligence, AI, the scientists have made this robot. They've created it. They've programmed it. They've worked on it. They have made this AI.
Yeah.
They still need someone to come in and to be like, hey, this is how you're supposed to be a human. This is how you're supposed to work. If you're trying to make a humanoid AI, rather, I really should clarify that.
Yeah.
You need someone that's more. We've talked about this privately, but like you'd need to have something that's more like.
Someone who understands people.
Yeah, you need to have more of a people person, more of like a spiritual, emotional person to come in and teach this AI how to be a human, opposed to this piece of programming.
Yeah.
And in the same sense, you need spirituality in your life to sometimes hold you together, and that doesn't always have to be something like God. It could be something like, I believe that I can be better than this. So you keep working. I believe that my friend will succeed. I believe that my support structure of my family is amazing. I believe that out there somewhere is something amazing that I can find. You can still believe in these things. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be the utmost religious power. You can just believe in something.
Right.
And that is not something that we should take for granted, and that's not something that will never not be important. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be relevant. It's always going to make us human. It is always going to define us to some capacity. Mm-hmm. And even the atheists and the people who don't believe in religion, they still believe in something. And that is a spirituality to a certain sense. Or at least in my opinion. Obviously that's going to change per person. Yeah. But in my own personal opinion, you need to believe in something.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else, even if it's just like, I believe that the flowers will grow again next year. Sometimes you just need to believe in something to get you through, to make life seem worthwhile sometimes. And as long as you believe in something, that's your spirituality to me.
Right.
That being said, I'm just one person, and I'm not a super religious person. Mm-hmm. So this is just my take, and I'm not the be all end all religious knowledgeable person. But if you take that spirituality in small scale like I'm describing, or in larger scale like actual religions, like Christianity, like Islam, like Hinduism. I was gonna go with Judaism, but I just was gonna say Jewish, and I was like, that's not the right that's not the right
religion,
ending.
that's the people.
Yeah, and I was like, But I'm probably close to my mic. I apologize.
Yeah, I was a bit far from my mic.
Even if it's the more organized religions, the broader ones, they still hold that humanity, that basis of spirituality, of believing in something important.
Right.
And that really brings people together, not only in the sense of broader religion, but as a people, as a race, as an animal. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mammal.
Here? As a mammal, as a community across the globe, it brings people together because you believe in something, and that makes you not necessarily more than just yourself, but in the same vein, it makes you believe in more than just you.
Right.
And that makes you easier to bond with. It makes you easier to talk to. It makes you understand people better.
Right.
And even in this future society where science is kind of like the be-all end-all that we're kind of like drawing closer to, believing in something is never going to be a bad thing. And to be approachable, to understand more issues from other people's points of views will never be bad. It is going to be it's not a possible hindrance. It's going to be an attribute that people will look for.
Right.
And religion and spirituality will provide that. It's not only going to make you more human, it is going to make you better at your job, better at anything you choose to do, because it gives you this sense of who you are, of community, of belief in something bigger than yourself, and knowing that there's something out there for you. And It doesn't have to be God or a specific heaven or anything like that, but there is something out there that could be worked towards, and that's never going to be a bad thing.
Okay.
I just went on a very large ramble, and I'm so sorry. I think I talked myself in circles.
Okay. So your argument went in. Am I a bit loud?
No, I think you're okay.
Because I've been editing my volume this entire time. It's very hard to get it right. No, your argument went in 3 directions, so I kind of need to address each direction.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of went a couple different ways there.
Yeah, because one direction is the one that I really need to address. One direction is one that I can't address, and one direction is one that's more in the middle. So the one I'll address last will be the idea of organized religion and the idea of believing in a god. But believing in something was your second direction, that you need to believe in something that is there for you.
Not necessarily need, but if you choose to believe in something, it's only going to benefit you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pair that up with how you worded it towards mental health. You spoke in a very this is beneficial to your mental health manner, such as the idea that believing the flowers will grow will get you through life, or something that could push you through life. That's a very mental health approach to it, which is.
You'll wonder why I have that.
Yeah. Looking at that, I'm not going to debate religion on the grounds of its benefits to mental health, for the sole reason that I cannot debate the benefits that a belief like spirituality can have for someone, because those benefits there, I have to acknowledge are the main benefits I see in religion. This is pretty much the only reason why I stand in the middle of most religious debates, is because to me, the only good thing of religion is the fact that when people need it, it will push them through. It will keep them going. It will help them handle life. And that, on the mental health side of things, I cannot debate that, because it's true. When you're going through depression, when you're going through anxiety or many other things, you do need to hold on to something, whether it's a god or whether it's the chance to play your favorite video game in a week. You need something to keep you going. And I'm never going to say that's not true, because it is pretty much a universal truth. Now, whether that belief is something that we would define under the religious banner or something we would define under the non-religious banner is less important. Some people's reason to keep going is just to see the next episode of their favorite TV show. And that's perfectly fine. That is your belief. But the thing I want to address in particular is the belief in religion, a higher power, a god, the universe being out there for you for something. That concept in general is the one I want to discuss. Because in my view, that concept does not hold a place in the modern world.
So we're talking about just religion, not spirituality.
We can talk about spirituality, but not spirituality away from belief in some sort of higher power, right?
Okay.
Because that's how I've always defined spirituality, that is only a higher power.
Spirituality to me is just the belief in something bigger than yourself. Not necessarily a higher power per se, but just bigger than yourself. So,
Okay.
because there's religions out there that are, I read about it once. I can't remember what it's called, but they, but it's like they worship like Mother Nature, and they like live in, just nature and everything like this.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily, like a higher power, as in like a god per se, but it's just something bigger than themselves that they can't control.
Yeah, that religion there specifically would fall under religion, under spirituality, because it's still belief in a higher power they can reach out to. But I would give it a limit to, if you can reach out to this higher power, request help, and expect to receive help in some way.
That's how you're defining.
That's how I'm going to define spirituality, because anything outside of that I actually define as faith. Because you can have faith in something that's not spiritual.
But I think faith and spirituality really tie in together, because
They tie in together?
faith is a key part of spirituality, and often spirituality can play a big part in your faith.
Yes, but faith is just a general belief in something. Faith is the belief that X will come from Y, or that something will happen. So because of that, you can have faith in something without having spirituality. I have faith in myself in some things. Like, I have faith in my abilities and my skills towards certain things. But I don't have a spirituality behind me. I always define as spirituality needs faith, but faith doesn't need spirituality.
Okay, I thought we were debating faith as a whole.
Oh, yeah,
I am little lost here. Okay.
No.
Cool. Well,
I was thinking more just
blatant
religion in
religion.
and of itself.
Okay. I think my point still stands for the most part. Feeling a little bit more wobbly now. It's fine.
Well,
We're good.
A belief in like Mother Nature still counts, because
But then the thing is, atheism is technically a religion, and that doesn't have a god. It's the belief in science, which is just a higher. It's just something larger than yourself, but it's not a spiritual higher power.
that's not really how atheism is. Atheism is not defined by belief in science. It's actually defined by a lack of belief in religion. Specifically, the definition of atheism is the lack of belief in any higher power, which in that case, it means atheism is the only non-religious belief. Because agnosticism believes in the possibility of a higher power, and everything else falls under some religious umbrella, theism. But atheism is the A means no, right? So no theism, no religion, no belief in a higher god. So atheism is actually the only one in this set of terms that means literally no religion, no spirituality. Which it's very weird, because you can believe, you can be an atheist but not believe in science. Because I knew someone through a friend who was a flat earther, but he was also an atheist, right? So he didn't believe in science, but he didn't believe in a god either. He believed in his own version of pseudoscience. So I would definitely agree that you always have to believe in something, in all cases, but that it won't always fall under the religious umbrella.
Well, yes. Okay, but you always have to believe in something.
Yeah.
Generally, faith is an important part of humanity, but what happens if you're going to take away religion for the people that is their faith, that is their day-to-day life, that is a key part of them? How are you going to take that away from them?
Well, I'm not proposing to take it away from them, and we're just debating, does religion have a place in the modern day? So instead of should we take away religion, it's more, should religion exist in the first place nowadays?
Well, I automatically have to be on the side of yes. Clearly.
Yeah.
That's kind of my side.
We're halfway into an episode and we don't even know what the episode is.
We're trying our best. We got our wires crossed, but it's okay.
That's okay.
I just think my definition of religion is just weird in my own personal brain.
Yeah, it's a more unorthodox definition, which may have caused confusion.
Yeah, that's my bad. I'm a little out there.
I don't know what the actual like official definition of what counts as religion is. I've always just gone by my own.
That's
well.
mine as well, and I've always been a little bit
Yeah.
odd, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyways, God does have a place.
Okay.
Whichever God you believe in or don't believe in, I guess.
Yeah.
It does have a place, not for everyone, because diversity and,
Yeah.
you can choose.
Yeah.
But for the people who do believe in it, it is going to help them. For the people who choose to have that in their lives, it's not going to be a hindrance. It's not going to hurt people. For the most part, I'm going, like, there's definitely cases of people using religion as, like, a terror kind of thing.
Yeah, that when I actually present my arguments, that's going to be the argument I present.
I would argue that doesn't count as religion.
Well, I'm going to go into Christianity and a few other religions that do this.
Because I was gonna bring up the KKK as an example.
That's not a religion, though.
Exactly.
That's an organized belief system.
The organized belief system is not a religion. They're like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Cult?
Like an offshoot of
Yeah,
a religion.
they are definitely a manipulation of religion.
So I would argue that any like terrorist group of like a religion,
yeah,
I'm using religion in air quotes, isn't truly a religion. But what did you call it? A cult,
Yeah.
or some
a
variation
cult
thereof.
is still an organized belief, but it's an extreme of a belief designed to cause harm to a group of people. So
Exactly.
that also is kind of out of our bounds.
Yeah, so therefore, excluding all of those terrorist groups and such groups like that,
Yeah.
religion isn't going to harm people for the most part. Most religions aren't going to be like, you need to kill these people, you need to treat everyone and like with horrible rudeness or scorn them.
Yeah.
Most religions will be like, love thy neighbor like thyself, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So and if you take that to heart, and if that's what you believe in, and that's not going to hurt you. The only hindrance it will ever provide is in some cases where people are like, you should join this religion, and they're kind of pushy about it slightly.
Yeah, slightly.
Because then that just makes people slightly uncomfortable. But besides that, there's never a downside to religion. It provides a sense of community that people need. It provides a sense of faith that people need. And although you don't have to choose to be religious, if you do choose to be religious, it's going to help you. Because you're the kind of person who wants a religion, who chooses a religion, who actively participates in a religion.
Yeah.
It's going to help. If you don't have that and you want it, where else would you go to get it? Which is a bad thing, because where else would you go? If there's no religion and you need something like that, you could try and have faith in something else, and like I do, and just have faith in something.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, people who lose their faith, especially religious people who lose their faith, they often go on downward spirals and like get into drugs, things like that. And to like not have religion for the people who need it, who want it, who desire it, it's going to cause more harm than good.
Sorry, I just looked at the CD player, and it's on track 11 of one of the discs we put in, and the track's 31 minutes long.
Oh my god.
I just felt that had to be mentioned. That's a long song.
That's a very long song. Holy.
Anyway, so to present my main argument, as mentioned, we're going to ignore cults, and we're going to organize more harmful but organized belief systems. So I particularly want to talk about some examples of religions that I believe have caused more harm than good. I'm going to begin with my example under Catholicism, which I can't say.
Catholicism?
Catholicism. Thank you. Catholics. Technically not Catholics, but the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church operates under a tithe system, meaning they take in money from others around them and use this money to fund their church, to fund their organizations. And I personally find there are a lot of issues with this particular system. To be exact with this, the Catholic Church, in many instances throughout history, has used this tithe system, the system of taking money from others, to fund extravagant churches, very large churches full of gold, full of expensive paintings, statues, and works of art. They use the money to fund wars, the 7 Crusades into Islamic countries, the 4 Crusades into the Scandinavian countries, the 3 Crusades into the Russian countries, and more. There were a lot of Crusades. They called Crusades a lot. The Catholic Church would use this money to fund its own political games in other countries, to promote certain kings over other kings during succession crises across countries, and much more. And this is not just a pattern we've noticed in Catholicism. We've actually noticed this pattern common in religions such as Islam and Judaism, as two examples. This pattern was also found, I think, in Hinduism. Yeah, in Hinduism, this was a big one. Buddhism never had much of this issue. It had some of it, but not as much. Yeah?
If you notice, that's not just a pattern of religion. Also, there's a loud beeping outside of the window.
Yeah.
Can you hear that on the mic?
A little bit.
A little bit? Great.
We're stuck with the beeping.
I'm just going to keep going. That's not necessarily just a religious issue. That's a humanity issue to begin with. If you notice, it comes into politics. It comes into medicine in the U.S., which is crazy.
That's true.
Stuff like that. It's not just religion. It's humanity as a whole. So, yes, that is an issue, and yes, that should be dealt with, but this isn't just like a religious thing. That's something that's never going to go away.
But the issue with religion is religion inherently uses the fact that people believe it cannot be changed, that it was not created by humans but instead created by a god, to build a unchangeable system when our political systems can be changed very easily. If you notice, Catholicism ruled for a few hundred years before Protestantism was formed, and Protestantism was barely formed at that. And Eastern Orthodoxy, the Eastern Orthodoxy branch of Christianity, which is the Russian branch, the Russian and Slavic branch, the Balkans, all that, they also had the same issue with their patriarch was their term instead of their pope. And it's seen very, very commonly in other religions as well. In the caliphates of Islam, it was very common. While religion falls under the same problems that many other institutions we have fall under, it's much harder to fix religion because religion operates under the idea that it is exactly what it should be and cannot be fixed, and that the higher ups can do what they want without those below them noticing it, which is more of an issue with organized religion than religion in general, but a very, very large issue that we have to face.
So what if we make religion more malleable, such that you don't have, if something's going wrong, you can like take it to like your minister or whoever is running your church, and then they take it to their higher ups until at some point something is done.
Well, the issue with that then is to do that, you have to acknowledge on some degree that religion is not the will of a god, but a will of the people more than the god.
Well, if you notice most Bibles, sorry, I cut you off.
No worries.
If you notice most Bibles, Bible is just like the Christian one. But like those.
It's Bible, Torah, Quran.
Most religious texts aren't written by a god himself or their self. They're written by his followers.
Yeah, but it's said that God speaks through his followers. That's a very important fact.
Yeah, but not to be like rude, because I don't want to like get too out there, but to the religious people.
Yeah.
Do you feel God speaking through you when you go to write something?
The common answer to that would be no, but there is still a very commonly held belief in most religions that even though their books were written by a person, it was God speaking through that person, which is something that doesn't happen
like a
often.
Prophet or
whatever. That's a big issue because.
But the thing is, sorry, I keep cutting you off. Continue. I'll let you talk.
The biggest issue there is if you want to make religion malleable, make it possible to present issues and fix them. If you're not just fixing the institution, if you think there's a problem with the religion, what you've just done is you've acknowledged that the religion was not perfect. And if it's not perfect, it can't have been made by a god.
See,
and in that case, the entire system collapses.
Once again, the problem with religion isn't the religion itself, it's the people. Because it's not the people who are preaching this religion to you.
Yeah.
The people who have like learned this religion and who have taken it upon themselves to like tell you about it, pastors, ministers, whatever.
Yeah.
They're not the people who wrote the text. They're not God.
No.
And it's their interpretation of the text that they are going to tell you.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily the text themselves. It is not necessarily the true word of God. It is their interpretation of the true word of God.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's this human aspect that sometimes tips the scales in a way that we might not desire.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. because that's what you would go to change. The texts themselves might not be bad. I mean, like, you could probably look at some texts and be like, hey, that doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah.
Like, I know
there's a lot of translation issues, actually, is the big one.
Which is a problem, because I know at some point, I think it's in the Bible, it's like if you get a divorce, you get to be stoned to death.
Yeah, that's in the Old Testament. That's not a rule anymore. One key one in the Bible that I hear quoted a lot is man shall not lie with man as he would with woman. But the original version of this in Greek, the mistranslation was going from Greek to other languages because Greek doesn't have two separate words for this. In the original version said man shall not lie with boy as he would with another woman, which actually means the line that a lot of people quote to say homosexuality is wrong, actually it means pedophilia is wrong.
Which is fair.
Right.
Also, if we're talking about New and Old Testament, you already acknowledged that it needed to be revamped.
Yeah.
And therefore, the Word of God was already wrong and you had to change it.
But in that situation, people believed that the new writers were being spoken to by God again, right? It wasn't a change in the representation system. Instead, it was a rework, as if you ask a Christian, by God himself, saying that his original words no longer worked in the current world. The most common reason I've seen is a lot of people say the Old Testament was to help with the organization and beginning of a civilization, when the new version was meant with the maintaining of a civilization that has already been established. So it's a very large difference, because a religious text for a civilization getting off the ground with no technology would be very different than a religious text nowadays for when we have technology. Like, once upon a time, if you grew 2 crops in the same field, you probably would have lost a lot of your crops, which is why the Old Testament would say don't grow 2 crops in the same field. But this changed with modern irrigation methods. So when Christianity came around, that rule was left out because it was no longer necessary.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big thing about religious texts I've noticed. A lot of them are more advice-based texts to tell people, here's how you should run your civilization, here's how you should run your lands.
Which isn't a bad thing.
It's not a bad
just
thing.
Advice.
But it makes me wonder, that's a very human thing to do. That's not a very godly thing to do to me.
No.
But I can't judge that personally.
I can't judge that personally either, but that's because it's a human writing it, okay, from, like, my yes point of view here.
Yeah.
If the Word of God is speaking to you, I would still believe that it would still come out in a human way, as a human is writing it. Therefore, it would sound like advice.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still believe that it should be able to be changed, much like it changes with the times for starting or versus maintaining a religion or a society. It should change.
Yeah.
When things are going wrong. So if there is a problem, you take it to your pastor, you take it to whoever. They, in turn, take it to their higher-ups, and their higher-ups take it to their higher-ups until eventually it reaches the highest power, God, whatever. And then, hopefully, through this, if you believe in this religion, hopefully it would work. God would be like, hey, you're right. That seems a little hinky for this day and age. Maybe I'll speak to someone about this. And then someone will be like, the God is speaking to me. I must fix this. And then hopefully it will get changed.
Yeah. The big issue is that does acknowledge in some degree that God is not perfect. And in that case...
No, it acknowledges that the world isn't perfect.
Yeah, but it definitely still comes down to, that's a very fundamental change. And while in my position in real life and my position in this debate, I would support that. Protestantism was actually created under that belief. The whole idea of Protestantism is that religion is a very individual thing, and your relationship with God comes from your personal relationship, not the relationship the Pope pushes on you. Which I think is a very good thing, because it opened the doors to exactly what you're saying. And while Protestantism has grown a lot more structured since then, and it's lost a lot of the malleability that it once had, Protestantism still follows under this set of, it can be changed with enough effort, which I like to see, because it does acknowledge that the religion itself is not perfect and is up to human interpretation, but it's always interpretation of the same thing, which is a very important fact.
Because because in this, I think that yes, religion will always have a place in the world. I just think that it should, to create the best place for religion, if we're going to try and find some sort of common ground solution, I think that yes, it must always have a place.
Yeah.
But if it has a place, it should be slightly more malleable than it is now, in the sense that we recognize that it is humans' interpretations of the Word of God that is our religious structure, and that sometimes they aren't correct. and that sometimes those interpretations may not be the perfect interpretation for each and every individual, and that might change. And we should be able to recognize that maybe that's not right for us, but it's still a good religion. And although there's still issues here and there, and this interpretation may not be the best, it's still, the religion itself is still good, and I can still believe in it regardless.
Yeah, but I do have another problem with religion that leads me to this side.
Hit me with it.
This one I think is going to be harder to fix. Religion, now this does not apply to all religions. There are some religions actually that are really strongly against this, so this only applies to some. A lot of religions by design encourage you to bring others to the religion. And the ones who don't still fill you with the emotion that your religion is the only way to be right. And because of that, you need to bring others in. Now, for this example, we actually cannot talk about the religion Zoroastrianism. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all of them, they have a common ancestor in Zoroastrianism. Zoroaster, the prophet of Zoroastrianism, is actually remarkably similar to Jesus. If you read the texts about them, they were very similar people in life, and we know both were alive, so it's fully possible that they could have been the same Son of God coming twice. We don't know. I probably just spoke heresy in saying that. But they were very similar people. But Zoroastrianism lived under the belief that any religion that leads you to God will lead you to God through its methods. And Zoroastrianism is just one way of going to God. And because of that, it's optional. Now, I think that was Zoroastrianism. If not, that was a version of Buddhism or Sikhism. It's one of those three hold this belief.
I like that. I personally, this isn't necessarily my side, but just personally, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I would say I would agree with that if I was going to be like religious wise.
Yeah.
That sounds good. See, I think, once again, personal opinion here, so this isn't for everyone, but I personally believe that other religions should be more accepting of other religions. So Christianity should be much more accepting of like Judaism or
considering Christianity is based on Judaism.
Yeah, stuff like that. Oh God. So many things are based on Judaism.
Well, all of the monotheistic religions are based on Judaism, and Judaism is based on Zoroastrianism.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting situation to be in.
Yeah. So I think that religions should be more accepting of one another because, and should be less like trying to drag people into their own religion. Less forcing religion on people, because religion should always be a personal choice.
Right.
Because if you choose religion not out of personal choice and because someone else told you to, it's not going to help you, is the thing. It's not like you're going to enjoy it. It's not like you're going to speak to God and be like, "What's up, man? I hate being in your church." Like, that's not going to help anyone. So, religion should always be a personal choice. You should enjoy doing it, and if you don't, maybe it's not for you, and it shouldn't be forced upon you. And in that same vein, if someone chooses a religion that they enjoy, that is good for them, that is their belief system, they shouldn't have to be told that it's wrong, that it's evil, that it's vile, that they're going to hell simply because it's not the most mainstream religion. If it's your religion and it works for you, other religions should be more accepting of that, simply because it will lead you to God.
Okay.
To whatever God it is.
Yeah. To present the actual issue that I have, though.
Sorry, I rambled. I think we just agreed on a couple points.
Yeah, I was actually fixing a CD there. It was not on the right track, so I fixed that. In particular, my big issue with religion is most religions do exist in a way that say, hey, you need to follow this religion. Or they make you feel that your religion is the way to God and you want to encourage others to join it. The big issue is this has led to a lot of predatory practices in religion, particularly when people are down, when they're weak, when life is beating them up. It's extremely common for someone from a religion, any religion almost, to say, hey, you should try coming to my church, coming to my temple, coming to my mosque, etc. And listening in and seeing how you feel. And it's very predatory because it brings people into a practice that if they don't fully agree to it, they'll feel ostracized. So they get peer pressured into agreeing to things they might not originally agree with. And most often, these systems include a tithe system again, meaning they are going to be spending money to be part of this religious system, which is extremely common in Christianity, Judaism, and I think Islam also does this. I'm not sure about other religions and their tithe systems. They all have a very similar one.
The thing is, I can see both sides of this simply because religion helps people. So when people see someone else having a really hard go of things, they think, this helped me, I'm going to offer you this support. And yes, some people are more bossy than others and more forceful, and I don't appreciate that, and they shouldn't do that. But just having a simple offering of, this might help you because it helped me, I don't see that that's a bad thing per se.
That's not a bad thing.
But being pushy about it isn't great. Also, the money thing, churches do need to keep running. They do need to pay the people who work for them, so I do understand that. But taking more than necessary to, build huge monuments, not my cup of tea.
It's not always that they take more necessary. It's that they encourage spending money for the church and make people feel like it's necessary without giving them an amount. So people very often give too much. But the biggest issue is a lot of religions, because they follow an organized belief system, you get pulled into a religious group. Because you want it to help you, and you join and it does help you, but you start to find that if you don't agree with the religious group on a matter, you're ostracized and you're left extremely alone. It encourages a very non-fluid form of thinking that you need to agree with everyone else. It's very heavy in peer pressure, actually, to use a more modern word that we use for it. And I personally feel that this causes a lot of problems in the modern day, that by peer pressuring people into holding a single belief system, you're doing more damage than good. You're making someone into being something that they're not in hopes of helping them, and in the process you could cause a lot more damage, which is this is one of the biggest issues I have with religion, because not only are you pulled in and they ask for money to keep running, which is a perfectly valid thing to do, but you're doing this in the hopes of just getting some help, and now you're pulled into this form of thinking that might not agree with who you are, and make you feel like you have to agree with it, which causes a lot more mental damage in the long run.
This, I think this also falls a little bit into my idea that it should be more malleable than it is. I think that this once again falls into my belief that religion should be a little bit more malleable than it currently is.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with something, you should be able to say so, and then have the ability to not conform and to still believe in everything else but that, or to not necessarily test out a new religion, but see where religions are at, to pick the one that best suits what you believe in. And you shouldn't be ostracized for any of that, because you're trying to find your spirituality, and that should never be a bad thing.
No.
This once again falls under my big banner of I hit the mic. My big banner of religion should be malleable, should be able to change, should be able to be movable per person.
Yeah, but the issue is that is not human nature in religion. Human nature is, I'm right, you're not. That is how we feel. Our political system is based on this. Our system of life is based on this. We treat people like this all the time. To us, we are right, and no one else can be right if they differ from us. So by human nature, I think it would be impossible to create a universal religious system where everyone can harbor their own individual versions of beliefs and be accepted by everyone else. Because by nature, if I'm holding a set of beliefs and you're different, I'm going to look at you and be like, you're different, but I'm doing what's right. You need to do what's right. Stop doing that.
This once again falls into the category, not of religious needs to be more malleable, although that seems to be what I just keep saying.
Yeah.
This falls into the category of humans needing to be more accepting.
Yeah.
As a race, we aren't, and we need to be able to recognize that what's right for one person isn't going to be right for another person.
Yeah.
Which is a big problem with humanity. It comes into everything, and that sucks. This is like racism. This is prejudice. This is sexism. This is everything else. Humans need to be more accepting. We need to be more noticeable. We need to be noticeably crap, what's the word? We need to notice our faults more.
Self-critical.
Thank you. We need to be more self-critical, and we need to realize that I am not everyone. Yes. I am only one person, and this is right for me. That doesn't mean that it is right for you. It is still right because it is right for me, but that doesn't mean that it is right for everyone.
Well, I don't think that's very easier said than done, because I'm going to go into theory of evolution slightly. Not even that, actually. When humans lived in small tribes, which we do know all human groups lived in tribes at some point, that's natural. Humans didn't start in cities. So when humans did live in small tribal groups, if you were different than a tribe, you were a liability for the tribe. You would get them killed. So humans changed over time to encourage a more and more group-based thought that everyone agrees, even if they don't all perfectly agree, that they all come to the same conclusion, because if they didn't, they would die. So humans have spent eons like this, like in the position that it's either they all agree, or the one who doesn't agree gets kicked out because they're a liability for the group. And changing that is going fundamentally against human nature, which require generations of work, which I personally feel, even with all the work we've done, you can't achieve that, because that means you have to force people from a young age for their entire life to think this way, and then encourage their kids to do it and their kids to do it, and hope upon God himself that you can make the positive change you want, which is unrealistic to imagine.
That's I don't know how much I'm allowed to swear, but that's bullshit. Pray to God himself about making positive change. Dude, that's what we've been doing. It's about environmental change. It's about being more accepting. Black women didn't get the right to vote until like 1980 something, which is...
Was it the 80s?
I think so.
I actually don't know the date for that one. I used to know it.
I used to know it as well.
It was a bit earlier than that. It was 50s or 60s. Was the last group that got it was Aboriginal women, which was 1963. So black women were probably 20 years earlier.
Ah, crap. Well, I tried my best.
During the 40s, but that's still really recent.
It's really recent, and it has been just a few generations to be... I'm probably really close to my mic.
No, actually, you're a good volume.
Okay. To be this acceptable, to be this more diversifying, to work towards this new idea that we can be the same, we can all have an even playing field,
right,
and let everyone be equal, and that's new. And to work towards more environmentally friendly things, also new. And that has been something that we have been working on, and that's everything that we are working on. That is human nature right there, is the ability to change and to teach your future generations how to change effectively and how to do what is best for the future. Right. That's literally everything we ever strive to do, and you saying that is just a prayer to God and like a hope, bullshit. That's a lie.
Okay. It would be a lot of work. It would take a long time.
Oh, yes, undoubtedly.
It's unrealistic to imagine that we could. We to a degree we could, but I definitely wouldn't bank on it. Not right now, at least. I would need to see a lot more development before I would honestly state
I'm not
that
saying that this is going to be like an immediate change. I'm just saying that it would help religion be less adversary to other religions.
Honestly, we're running low on time, so I'll state my last issue in a very short way.
Ooh,
I
rambled.
No, I rambled a lot too. So the last issue I have with religion is another one that can be fixed, is that religion in and of itself encourages a very static form of thought. It doesn't encourage science. It doesn't encourage progress. It doesn't encourage working towards a better future. And a great example of this is when Christianity came into prominence in Europe, we very quickly saw the dawn of the Dark Ages of Europe, which tore back technological process to one of the worst degrees we've seen in human history ever since the Bronze Age collapse, which is honestly another issue in and of itself. And I personally feel I agree, we can change religion, but the only way I would agree that religion has a place in the modern day is with a lot of these changes, which would take a very long time.
I think that it's not as many changes as you might expect. I think we just really need to get into the mindset that science and religion are not adversaries. They can be complementary. Religion could just be another way to talk about science. Science could be another way to talk about religion. In times of when like the religious texts are being written, it's not like they had it's not like they had science to explain their miracles. They just had miracles.
Yeah.
And sometimes science will explain those things now. So they can be the same thing. It depends on how you look at it. So it's not as many changes as you might expect. We still need science, clearly. That's never going to that's never going to be in a debate. We still need it. We still need to grow. We still need to change. We still
Yeah.
need to move forward and have technological advancement. But that being said, religion isn't always going to hinder that. And it can be a very complementary thing. It can help. So it's not as many changes as I think you might expect.
That's fair. So we're reaching the end of the episode. We have a few minutes left. We have one more song for today.
I also don't think we're going to reach a conclusion. I'm so sorry.
I think the closest we've got to a conclusion is we can't determine if it's right or not to have religion in the modern day. But if we do,
it needs
we
to
need a very fundamental change.
Yeah.
And we need a few changes, and they'd be very important changes. But,
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're coming into our last minute now. So I would like to thank everyone for listening. The public public debate, episode 3, I think this will be.
Yes.
Maybe 4, depending on when we do the live one. So with that, I've been Gaia.
I'm Kaila.
And we're going to be moving into our final song today. The artist will be Squonk Opera with the album name, wish me luck saying this, Biggs Morgs Gas Board Wunderwerk. The song is In the Kitchen of the Mountain King. So let's hit it off.
Catch you next time.
See you later.
Shoot.